right, good evening everybody. Happy Monday. Hopefully you all had a wonderful start to the week so far. We're gonna get started here in just a moment, but we're gonna do the nightly audio check and the visual check. So if you guys can hear us, and if we're streaming in 1080p, just go ahead and give a thumbs up in the chat and we will get started here momentarily. Beautiful night in New York City. It's finally not raining, thank God. It's about 67 degrees. Tomorrow is going to be a bright and beautiful sunshine day. About 73 degrees Fahrenheit tomorrow. And we'll talk about the markets tonight. Lots to talk about. We finally got that rally day, that follow-through day, bringing us back above the 50-day moving average. And I think now is the time to, well, we'll talk about it in a minute. So, all right, guys, give us a minute here and we'll get started. All right, everybody, I think we'll go ahead and kick this off. So good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Walks in Wall Street. Today is Monday. It's May 6th, 2024. It's about 8:54 p.m. Eastern Time, and we are reporting live from Central Park South and 5th Avenue. Now, it's a very eventful day in the city. Today is the Met Gala, as they call it. But that is taking place a little bit further uptown. We are not near there, but maybe, we'll try to walk a little bit further up to the Upper East Side and check things out. But apparently there has been some demonstrations and some protests. So we may want to avoid all of that tonight. But I think the city should be pretty lively, pretty nice. Weather's nice. There's going to be a lot of people out. Seems like activity is picking up again in the city. Additionally, today on Wall Street, very positive day. And this is kind of in the face of a lot of pessimism on the street, right? It seems like every single little shimmy in the market, everybody's calling for some sort of major calamity or crash. Not to say that's not going to happen, but usually if we look at the history of bull markets, right, in terms of duration and in terms of price appreciation, generally speaking, you have multiple pullbacks and corrections to the 50-day and the 200-day moving average. Normal corrections in terms of both duration and in price on a percentage basis in the financial markets during regular bull markets. Corrections can last anywhere between 1 to 2 months, generally for a longer term correction. The shorter corrections can be maybe 2 to 3 weeks. In terms of depth in price, could be anywhere between 5 and 18% for a normal, rudimentary correction in the markets. So it seems as if we've been getting a lot of support, particularly as earnings season is starting to move through here. Now, the vast majority of, I would say, major companies have reported, particularly the big mega cap tech companies reported great earnings. There were a few companies on the street that were pretty disappointing, some big misses that we covered. I would say the most notable one being Starbucks, ticker symbol SBUX, really bombed earnings. So much so that the former CEO, Howard Schultz, had to come out on LinkedIn and make a post. Even though he's not technically affiliated with the company anymore, he kind of voiced his unpleasantries, if you will, on LinkedIn. I'm not sure if anybody saw that. In any event, markets rallied across the board. We're now back over the 50-day moving average on the S&P 500. And this should be a pretty tepid or pretty tame week because we have the vast majority of, I would say, notable earnings reports said and done with. And last week was the FOMC meeting. The only other major catalyst for, I would say, major volatility is actually going to happen the following week when we hear from the Bureau of Labor Statistics as they report CPI yet again, Consumer Price Index. So with that being said, everybody, I'll say hello to everybody in the chat, and we will kick this stream off once again. We're reporting live from East 59th Street and Central Park South, right outside of the Sherry, Netherlands, and today is Met Gala Day. So city should be pretty busy. Hey, New England Crypto, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. I see Steph UF, welcome. Alan, good to see you, Alan. Sally's here. Evan Weeks says, for most people, things feel unstable. What was the middle class 20 years ago is closer to food insecurity than they are to home ownership. Now, Evan Weeks, I'm so glad you kind of brought that up because I have to give you a recommendation. And I think you're really, really going to enjoy this, okay? And this isn't just, this is for everybody. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this video. Now, it's a TED Talk, okay? So if you go pull up another browser on, whatever internet browser you're using, and go to YouTube and type in Professor Scott Galloway TED Talk or TEDx. Now, Professor Scott Galloway is a professor, I believe, of marketing at the NYU Stern School of Business. He's a really sharp guy, really, really smart guy. Now, I thought he gave a very convincing and compelling TEDx talk. It's about 20 minutes, but I think it's worth the watch. Now, I think we need to delve into a conversation about persuasion, right? But he gives a very compelling and persuasive TED Talk. Now, I don't necessarily agree with everything in that talk, but to Evan's point, the middle class feels more insecure and unstable than really they've ever felt, so to speak. So check it out. Professor Scott Galloway, TEDx Talk. Looks like there's a demonstration over here. Hey, Trade Brigade, what's going on? Good to see you. Neighbor Bob says, hey Tom, Cava has been on a roll since over the last month, up around 25%. Yeah, Cava is really carving out, I would say, the final stage of an IPO base, right? Now, I always plug this book. Full transparency, one of my buddies is the author. But I would highly, highly recommend checking out this book called The Life Cycle Trade by Kathy Donnelly and Eve Bobach. Essentially, it is a complete research report compiled into a book going back to the 1960s of every single IPO that's ever gone public on the market. Talking about the key characteristics of these true market leaders. Is it the sales? Is it the earnings? Is it the return on equity? Is it the pre-tax, after-tax margins? What are the catalysts that make these stocks perform so well? And I'm seeing something quite similar in Cava. I think they have a very scalable business. Earnings and sales are growing. If you go to Cava's investor relations page, I would highly suggest reading their roadmap. Right, they expect to grow their stores by 15% a year. I think they could easily do that. And as a little bit of anecdotal data, every time I walk into a Cava in New York City, or I just walk past one, it seems to be pretty crowded. So you have a great product, you have scalability, and you have profitability. Right, those are like the three magic elixirs. So we'll see. It's trying to come out of that IPO base. And we'll see. I am covering the stock though. Trade Brigades is walking by Cava right now. Well, is it packed? Is it dead? What do we got? We'll see. You know, you guys are gonna notice a lot of police presence tonight. It seems like there's a demonstration coming from every single corner. Now, I was in the office, I work right on Madison Avenue, and there was a tidal wave of demonstrators headed up towards the Met Gala, and I hear some very faint chanting in the distance. So hopefully we won't run into too much trouble tonight. Clara says, good evening, everybody. What's up, Clara? Thanks for joining. I see DC. PJ says, hello, happy new week to all. Peter, what's up? I think they're on 6th Avenue. I kind of hear them in the distance. Trade Brigade says it's average, very rainy night in Washington, D.C. Now, when I was in D.C., last time I've been to D.C., it seems as if everything closes extremely early, particularly comparing it to New York. I don't know. DC was all right when I went. I don't know if I could ever live there, but I think you know what the problem is? I'm just too used to New York. I'm too used to there being something going on all the time. Like pretty much, you know, any time of the day or night, if you go out in New York, there's going to be people out. And I feel as if whenever I travel to a city that's not like that, it just feels different. It just feels weird. I don't know. Anyway, you can see a lot of police presence here by the Trump Tower. This is 57th Street, looking uptown, but looks like the NYPD are on patrol. Wow, DC 322 says ring of security steel around the Met Museum. Hey, Solo 401, what's going on? Lynn is here. Welcome. Now, as we kind of talk a little bit more about about these markets, an encouraging thing to me about the action today is, you know, the rally was pretty much broad-based. You had a big bid in the financials or the XLF. That got a really big bid today, but most importantly, and I've mentioned this before, and this is just my opinionated statement, which kind of coincides with my thesis of my little bit of a revised Dow theory. Now in Dow theory, usually when you have the Dow transports breaking a 52-week high or in the new highs, that can be a confirmation that a new trend has started, or a bull trend, vice versa, right? If the Dow transports are breaking down and such. Hold that thought. I feel like this Prada is new, right? I feel like I have never, maybe there was just scaffolding here or something, but I feel as if this Prada store is brand new. Am I losing my mind here? I feel like this entire facade is brand new. Yeah, I mean, Trade Brigade took the words right out of my mouth. Semiconductors caught a really, really nice bid. Now, not only the individuals, right? So the liquid leader in the market is NVIDIA. You know, so goes NVIDIA, so goes this market. That's kind of how we can think about it. But if you look at the semiconductor index, ticker symbol SOXX, right? The SOX. Most of the importance of earnings season has passed in terms of the big companies that everybody watches, and earnings have been pretty good, except for, you know, the few majors that we've talked about. I mean, Starbucks was a disaster, but that's kind of like a non-starter, or I should say like a non-issue in the grand scheme of things. Oops. I think we should be good now. Give me a second. All right, I think we're back, right? I think we should be back, yeah. You know, I always turn off the Wi-Fi. I gotta figure out a permanent way to turn this Wi-Fi off. Give me a sec. Let me see if I could do this. Right, I think we're good. Now, you know what it is? Every time I just had to do, you know, Apple forced me to do an iOS update, which I can't stand updating my phone. I think the new interface of the newest iOS update is really, really poor. But my Wi-Fi keeps turning on and it's auto connect. So every time the Wi-Fi is on, it continues to search for neighboring Wi-Fi networks, if you will. So it'll connect to a network like a hotel's network, but then if it requires a password, the internet will just, you know, go dead. In any event, yeah, Semiconductors followed through in a major way, which is very, very positive. You're not going to have any sustained bull trend without participation from semiconductors. It's just not going to happen, because I believe every single bull market has like a theme, right? You have big thematics for each bull. I think this bull cycle is obviously AI, cloud computing, autonomous driving, and the like. And the jet fuel, if you will, the rocket fuel for those products and services are chips, semiconductors. Hey, what's up, MD? This is, did we go by the Met Gala? You know, I was thinking about it, but I think there's just too much trouble going on tonight. So I think I'm gonna avoid it. I was gonna walk up the east side and go to, you know, where the Met Gala is, just for fun, because we never go to the Upper East Side of Manhattan. But I feel like there's just too many demonstrations going on, and you know, I don't want to get caught up in the mess, in the trouble. Seems like there's a massive police presence out tonight, so I think we'll just stay clear for now. Wow, Oscar Diaz. Basic language turned 60 years old. The original language. Oh, speaking of self-driving, guys, if you go to my Twitter or X page, you follow @WalksWallStreet on X. I was coming out of the office, I was gonna get lunch, and right as I turned the corner by 432 Park, I see another Cybertruck that's parked right outside 432 Park Avenue, but it's a deadhead Cybertruck. Does that make sense? Do we have any deadheads in the chat? Anyway, if you want to see it, I posted a picture on my X profile. It's a Grateful Dead Cybertruck. Pretty cool, right? Now, those things look absolutely massive in person, the Cybertrucks. We saw one on Saturday night when we were live streaming around the Village. This is the second one I've seen in person in New York, and it was a Grateful Dead Cybertruck. Pretty cool. It had two Grateful Dead decals, well, one on the front, one on the back, and then it had two little ones on the side. It's pretty cool. DC 322. This is cyber trash. Hey, look, not a lot of people like it. I like it. I think it looks cool. And, you know, I was reading this post on X a little bit earlier in the day, and it was this guy I follow. He was I believe he's an ETF analyst at Bloomberg. And he has a Tesla, lives in New York City. And he posted a Google Maps route in New York City, I believe from Connecticut, all the way through the Bronx to his office at Bloomberg, right around the corner here on the Upper East Side. And his car drove him there with the full self-driving from Tesla. That's insane, right? In a city like New York, that's very, very difficult. You would think other cities, okay, that's more believable. But granted, right, to be fair, with the full self-driving, you have to have both hands on the steering wheel. But the car just goes and does it for you, which is absolutely wild. So when you think about all of the negative press and all of the negative news as it relates to Tesla, coinciding with the stock getting hammered, all I see, right, and again, anecdotal data, but really everything that I see so far is the product getting better, the capabilities being more convenient, and extreme progress. That's really all I see. So you have the fundamentals pretty much going up and to the right, but you have the price of the stock going down and to the right. So the question is, we'll wait till this police brigade passes. Lots of activity in New York. Hold on, I want to go back to the Versace store just to give you guys a quick peek inside. But anyway, you know, as we were saying, as we're looking at the old Versace flagship that's being totally gut renovated, I mean, that is massive, right? Massive, massive, massive progress in self-driving. If it's this good now in 2024, where it pretty much works 100%, you just have to keep your hands on the wheel. Think about, right, and look forward, look into the future. Try to, you know, be optimistic about the technology. In 10 years, guys, it's very possible that everything is fully autonomous. And what is the total addressable market of that? Like, what are the downstream effects of having real, true, level 5, full autonomy? I really don't think the market understands just how massive this is. Now, I'm not sure if anybody here has full self-driving or has a Tesla that can maybe give some, you know, firsthand kind of recounts and observations of what you think, but from what I'm seeing from friends, this is the real deal. This is like going to be absolutely massive. And we'll go into a few of the ideas, because when I'm trying to, you know, idea generation is the most important thing, in my opinion, in the investment business. A constant stream of high quality ideas. And people are like, yeah, you know, full self-driving will be convenient. Yeah, it'll be great, but think about all of the other downstream effects that full self-driving is really going to touch on, which we'll talk about here in a minute. We're right outside St. Patrick's Cathedral. Beddos' full self-driving is very cool. Yeah, I mean, 5 bags of popcorn says insurance companies. That's one of the things I was going to mention, right? We kind of have this narrative, and it's very, very true, that insurance premiums are blowing out and car insurance is pretty much at all-time record highs in specific states and things like that. Now, insurance premiums are very much calculated based on risk profile. So, for all of those parents in the chat that have kids, your kid gets in a fender bender, your insurance premiums are going to go up, and then, you're having that not too pleasant talk with your son or your daughter, right? It's quite possible that within the next 20 years, risk will essentially plummet. Like imagine, like a CBOE volatility index like the VIX. The VIX is at 30, it's extreme fear, and then the VIX plummets to the floor. Risk on the part of insurance companies could absolutely plummet here. Because if it's full self-driving, there's going to be no human error. Your 16 or your 17-year-old that's just getting behind the wheel isn't going to be dinging and denting the cars, isn't going to be getting in fender benders. All of these horrible and horrific, drunk driver incidents are going to go to zero. Literally go to zero. So, what does that mean about money in consumers' pockets? This could be pretty good here. I don't know, any thoughts about that? Or any disagreements? Anybody think the opposite is going to happen? Hey, Sabina Sanchez is here. What's going on? Thank you for joining us. Yeah, Brad's brains is self-driving cars better not drive the speed limit. Getting in my way. Stacks, his robo-taxis will pull a lot of Uber, DoorDash drivers out of work. Western Mass Dave says my car insurance went up. I called and complained and got $65 off due to a discount that was missed. So if something is off, speak up. Wow. Now imagine how much money these insurance companies make just by accidentally charging extra and accidentally forgetting to add these discounts. Air quotes. Like Dave said, if you don't call up and say something, you're not going to get. How convenient of them to misplace a discount. Anyway. This building's quite nice. This used to have all scaffolding all over it. John says, Tom, I think full self-driving is a great tool. It will get better in the future. Sherry says self-driving cars will definitely make the roads safer. I agree. Dan says I still enjoy driving, especially manual transmission, for sure. Wright says there's too many DUIs. Gary says until the cars get hacked. I guess that's, cybercrime and cyber threats are very real for sure. Well, look, I think the insurance play is pretty big. Think about all the trucking companies that have to have dash cameras, right? I believe if you're a big trucking company and you install cameras on your fleet, you get a little bit of a discount. Hey, OV, how was Suarez's speech? I believe that's on the 8th. I think that's on the 8th. So if we have any people interested in the real estate business or the real estate market in New York City or Miami, there's going to be the Real Deal hosting the 2024 real estate seminar or conference. You can still buy tickets. And the mayor of Miami is going to be speaking. I believe right after him, my boss is going to be speaking about our team. So if you want to check it out, feel free. It'll probably be live streamed. Hey, Margaret V, what's going on? I quickly want to just take a detour here and check out the progress on 270 Park Avenue, which is Jamie Dimon's brand new office tower. Look at this. Now, it spans an entire city block. This thing is going to be crazy. Look at this, everybody. 270 Park, JP Morgan Chase. And you can see the spire of One Vanderbilt in the distance too. Let's just take a quick walk around the perimeter of it. We're on the corner of East 48th Street and Madison Avenue. You have a really cool view of 432 Park too. All right, let me read some of the chats. Jonatas says, in long trips, self-driving cars would be nice, but I hope we could still have the option to drive ourselves, because at least for me, sometimes drive a car is therapy. I agree. I think it should always be an option, and maybe they coordinate it in a way, like let's say, for example, you're coming out of a bar, you're intoxicated. Your vehicle, I think, will be so advanced that it will know that, where it could just essentially drive you home, just kind of like how you have Uber. You could call an Uber. You could get in your Tesla and just press a button and say, take me home. So I do agree that the option you should have the option. Let me just watch this guy for a second. But yeah, I totally agree. You should have the option to drive. Now, you guys know what was in this little retail space right here? Way back in the day, I actually walked in here and applied for a job right in this little retail storefront. Guys, this used to be a company called Scott Trade. Does anybody remember Scott Trade? It used to be right in here. Long, long time ago. Now you're finally starting to see this come together. So you have all the construction barricades down. And this is going to be the main entrance to 270 Park. Pretty cool, right? Yeah, Brad, this is Scott Trade. Wow, forgot about them. Yeah, this was way back in the day. I applied for an internship right in there. That's what I used to do in college. I used to just walk around and go into places and just cold email people. And I got a few interviews like that. I didn't get the job. They said, we don't think you'd be a good fit. Yeah, John, Ameritrade did buy them. There's a lot of consolidation in the brokerage business. I think you're gonna have like two solid players. I mean, IBKR, like Interactive Brokers, is a major player. Charles Schwab, things like that. But what are your thoughts? What do you guys think of 270 Park? So just 2 weeks ago, this is where the former president, Trump, visited the construction workers, the union workers on the site right here. Hey, the Mighty Bull. Thanks for joining. Good to see you as we explore Park Avenue tonight. Hey, action kids. I remember all those discount brokerages charging under $10 a trade. Scott Trade, First Trade, etc. Now many brokerages have free commissions for stock trading. Yeah, pretty much everybody now has free commissions for stock trading thanks to payment for order flow. Now, it's funny because a lot of the retail traders, right, when the whole GameStop and meme stock saga, like the AMC and all that stuff was kind of going off, they were all, up in arms about, oh my gosh, Robinhood is a criminal organization because they're using payment for order flow and that's why we're losing money in the market, which is kind of funny. The reason why traders are losing money in the stock market is not because Robinhood gives you free execution on trades. Okay. If the algos could scrape a few pennies off of you at the buy, that's not going to make the difference between you making money in the market or not. So if anything, payment for order flow is really, really good for consumers. Like very good for consumers. I mean, we could go back to what it used to be, where you would pay $25 or more on the bid, on the buy and on the sell. Yeah, I always thought that was interesting when the whole GameStop and meme stock stuff was going down. Everybody was complaining about the very thing that's allowing this nonsense to go on, right? Anyway. Yeah, big long, all those guys did, but you have extreme fee compression and commission compression on Wall Street, which is good for consumers, very, very good. Now, 270 Park isn't the only building that's going to go up. You're going to have 350 Park Avenue, and that's going to be a collaboration between Ken Griffin and Steve Roth at Vornado. That's going to be the new Citadel Tower. So Citadel Securities are going to occupy the first 57 floors in that building. So Park Avenue is going to look awesome. And I always say this, right, because I get a lot of emails, particularly now that you're seeing all these demonstrations, these protests. Some of them, arguably, you could probably call them terrorists. And people are like, see, New York City is never gonna turn around, or New York City is declining and there's no coming back. But I like to use a very, let's just say, a time-tested phrase, and it's called follow the money, right? So why would JP Morgan Chase, Jamie Dimon, be investing over $1 billion to build this massive skyscraper on Park Avenue if they didn't see a future for New York? Why would arguably one of the most profitable hedge funds and market makers in the world be investing just about $1 billion to build a state-of-the-art, totally eco-friendly Class A office tower on Park Avenue if they didn't see a future to have their employees work here? So I think it's important, even though things seem scary, I do believe the city is turning around, and you could always use, the follow the money principle to see exactly where things are going. These are smart people. I don't think Jamie Dimon's a stupid guy. I think he's a really smart guy. There's a reason why he's worth, $2.5 billion or however much he's worth. There's a reason why Ken Griffin's worth, what, $55 billion? He's not a stupid guy. So looking out, a lot of these people have such vision in the future. Looking out 5, 10, 15, 20 years into the future, they are optimistic. And you saw the same thing with Miami. I saw this trend happening very, very slowly all the way back in 2014 as it relates to Miami. And now, gosh, look at all of the buildings, look at all the business, look at all the population growth in Miami, Fort Lauderdale area. stretching up to Palm Beach. I mean, it's been really, really impressive. So I think you're seeing the same thing in New York. I'm optimistic about it. And we'll continue to follow the money. Brain XTC says, Tom, people have been saying New York City is going to collapse for over a century. That's true. I mean, I can't say you're wrong. You are definitely right. Everything, in my view, runs in a cycle. It's a business cycle. I have a really good book recommendation. We recommended it multiple times. Oh, the Capitol Grill open. Look at this. Wow. Oh, it's not open yet. It's going to open soon. Look at this. So the Capitol Grill. Let's get a view of the dining room. So you can see they're setting everything up. There's going to be the bar back there. Really nice dining room. Let's see if we can look from the other side. Maybe get the glare out of the way, perhaps. This looks good. So this is going to be brand new here, right in the MetLife building. Capitol Grill's pretty good steakhouse. Anyway, I don't know what I was talking about, but Jack De Palmas is not one university president said. Not one university president said what? Olma? Stop spamming that in the chat. Someone said, why did Billie Eilish not show up? What is that? What do you mean? Citadel? I don't know. Ah, the book recommendation. Ray Dalio, arguably one of the greatest hedge fund managers of all time, has a book called Principles, and in it he talks about the business cycle, right, and how, you know, monetary policy works. And I believe you could take that same principle of following the core concepts of a business cycle and apply that to local economies anywhere across the world. And for all those, you know, OG original New Yorkers in the chat who've been here forever. I mean, if you've been living in New York City, let's say you're watching this broadcast, right? Let's say if you're watching the live stream. This is the Yale Club. Let's say if you're watching the live stream, you're 55, 65 years old. You've been living in New York City forever, right? Well, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The city goes through cycles. It goes through times of like raging prosperity, and then it goes through some bumpy, turbulent times. We elect a new mayor, things change, and the cycle repeats. It's just kind of like the market, right? The S&P 500 goes up, it goes down, it establishes a floor, and then it heads higher. And I think that's what's happening in New York. You know, it's not as bad as the 70s, right? But it's going down slowly from when Bloomberg was the mayor. I think we've hit a bottom, and then I think we're gonna go back up and rally way, way past what it was like under Bloomberg. So now we're outside of Grand Central. Hey, Troy Atman, what's going on? Yeah, Cava's trying to break out of that IPO base. We will see if it can, you know, break out and go here. Yeah, DM says, I've seen a few cycles. New York City isn't the hellscape some of the trolls want you to believe. Yeah, and a lot of the people that, you know, like, I'm not trying to downplay any of the issues. There are issues. My God, there are issues in this city. But just like the media likes to do, they like to sensationalize things. You know, it's nothing new. So what I say is, if you're reading any headline about any city in America, right? I have a rule. Whatever is in the article, if it's 100%, ratchet it down to like 60%. So assuming the article, it goes full tilt 100%, you should say, okay, it's actually probably at about a 60% of what's in this article is actually probably what's going on, right? Again, not excusing any of the craziness that's going on, but sensationalism does exist. John says, dude, the subways didn't look like that in the 80s. No, this is different. Well, I'll take your word for it because I wasn't around in the 80s. So I will take your word for that. I'll assume you're right. All right, guys, this is a beautiful shot right outside the one and only Grand Central Station, looking right at the Chrysler Building, the spire of the Chrysler Building. GFW277, I don't agree with that. Jeff says NYC bashing chatters or rural right-wingers. I don't agree with that. I think that's too generalized. I think that puts people in a little box. I'm a right-winger, right? I mean, if you had to say, Tom, if the election was tomorrow and you had to vote, I don't vote, by the way, for reasons I can't disclose. But if somebody said you had to vote Trump or Biden, I'd vote Trump. So, but I don't, you know, buy into all of the fear calamity. What I'll say is this, Jeff, the people that are usually the loudest about everything sucking have the least skin in the game. That's kind of what I noticed over the years. You know, the people spreading doom and gloom, almost 90% of the time they have zero skin in the game, is kind of what I've noticed. And that's with everything, right? That's with absolutely everything. Man, this view of the Chrysler Building is fantastic. And this is One Vanderbilt. Now, I'll give you a little bit of a tip. If you're visiting New York City, which you should this summer, head up to the top of One Vanderbilt and go to the Centurion Lounge. So if you have, I believe if you have any type of American Express card, by the way, if you want to talk about a stock that's been outperforming, American Express has been doing really, really well. Talk about outperformance in that space. You know, Visa had a really good quarter too. Anyway, if you call the number on the back of your Amex card, any American Express card, you can book a reservation to go all the way to the top of the Centurion Lounge. It is awesome. The views are amazing of the city. You pretty much have panoramic views, 360, overlooking Empire State Building, seeing all the way down to the World Trade Center, looking all the way out to Long Island, down to Brooklyn, even to New Jersey. So check it out. I mean, One Vanderbilt is pretty impressive, the building. Yeah, DC322 says, I like the original World Trade Center. I like it too. It's a shame. Oh yeah, John, this is The Real is reporting earnings tomorrow. So The Real is the company that's like the high-end luxury brand, but it's kind of like thrift shopping, but at the very, very high end, right? Is that what The Real is? Yeah, I don't know if I'm too educated on it to have an opinion, but I think it's interesting because there's a big market for thrifting, and I think there's an even bigger market at the very high end. I'll check it out. I'm glad you brought that up. It's definitely intriguing. I'll take a look at it. I mean, what are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's a big, like, what is the TAM for people reselling and buying luxury goods? It's probably pretty big, right? I don't know if they deal with shoes, but kind of a comparison I'm making is when I was in college, it's probably still big now, but I had friends who were, they were obsessed with collecting sneakers. And I had some friends that would make a lot of money like trading and buying and selling shoes. So I mean, at scale, potentially it could be pretty lucrative, but I just don't know. I don't know if it is. I haven't looked into the financials. John's is too much competition, no market leaders. Darling says they verify it for a higher chance of it selling. Hey, photos from around New York, what's up? This is The Real has a location in Soho. Trade Brigades has flipped some Yeezys back before the bots took over the auctions. Dude, that's giving me flashbacks to college. Look at these guys building this scaffolding. Matthews says, Tom, can you go near the Gala? I thought about it, but then right before I started the live stream tonight, I was getting a bunch of texts from my friends who are not from New York City, and they're like, bro, did you see this? Did you see that? And apparently there's like some massive demonstration going on up near the Met Gala. So I don't really want to get involved in any of that. Look at this. Cava, C-A-V-A. It looks closed, but no, there's actually 3 customers in there, right at closing. Troy Atman says, Tom, are you near Madison Square Garden? Knicks game is almost over. Close game, 5 minutes left. Yeah, let's head to Madison Square Garden. I think we're gonna, abort on the Met Gala plans. For me personally, I mean, I don't know, I kind of like to, if there's a ruckus, I kind of go the other way. I don't want to get wrapped up in these people. You never know. I mean, these things can turn violent. There's a lot of troublemakers mixed in with the bunch. I'd rather not associate. No, I don't. New York City is a very, very safe city. But if there's a big demonstration going on, and it's known to be, troublemakers there, I'm not going to go towards that. I'm going to take the opposite side of the trade. So what we're going to do now on the live stream is we're going to go long the Knicks. So we'll buy, let's say, 100 lot calls on the Knicks, and we'll short the Met Gala. So that'll be our pair trade for tonight. So we'll go long puts on the Met Gala and then long calls on the New York Knicks. What do you guys think? That's our pair trade for the night. Now, an interesting pair trade is quite possibly this. Would be going short Sweet Green and long Cava, because I think the TAM, or the total addressable market for Cava, is It's probably much bigger than Sweet Green, and Sweet Green not performing well at all. So, two interesting pair trades. Long the Knicks, short the Met Gala, long Cava, short Sweet Green. And we should have a delta neutral scenario. Now, this company, Canva, I don't think they're publicly traded, but an interesting thing about Canva, I believe there's another company that's very similar called Figma, right? Figma, something like that, Figma. Didn't they have a big transaction with Adobe that was blocked or fell apart or something like that? Can anybody refresh my memory on that? I mean, that was a massive deal. The Figma, I could have sworn it was Figma Adobe, but anyway, whatever it was, I believe that deal fell apart, right? But Canva, I think, it has the potential to have higher valuation than Figma. It's the top of the Empire State Building. Yeah, Trade Brigades is the XLK, has been a killer. Trade Brigades' Figma is light years ahead, and yes, on the Adobe fall through. That's a shame, right? I feel like a lot of people were banking on a major cash out, right? Yeah, fuck you too, asshole. Yeah, fuck off. Piece of shit. Yeah, we'll go by Madison Square Garden. If we can make it through the zombies here. Oh, the Knicks are losing. We'll let that guy go. We'll do a detour to get away from that guy. And this is Salesforce Tower, ticker symbol CRM. We're losing only by 2. George says, how far is Madison Square Garden from here? Well, we're on 41st Street. Madison Square Garden is on 34th, so not too far away. But let's take a quick detour at Bryant Park. Man, I'm getting excited for the lawn here at Bryant Park. Yeah, it's Ozo Bob. I think it'll be all right. I just don't like people, just don't come up to me and touch me and curse at me. That's crossing the line a little bit. You can say whatever you want, but I don't like being touched, especially by these people here. Just some crazy homeless people, that's all. That's really the goal here. Because why do anything? Man, beautiful night. you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these streams pretty much every night starting at 8:30. All right, let's actually head down because I want to check out if the Knicks win tonight. Man, Madison Square Garden is going to be crazy. Yeah, I know, trade brigade, but you know, last night was horrible weather. So thank God we're getting a pretty good spout of nice weather. Tomorrow's supposed to be 76 degrees, thank God. Ooh, the Knicks lead. Yeah, let's head down because if they win, you guys will see what I'm talking about. It is going to be crazy outside of Madison Square Garden tonight. It's going to be fun to watch. Now, for those of you who are just joining, when I was kind of stepping outside my office today, I saw a Grateful Dead, a Deadhead Cybertruck. Coolest thing ever. I posted a picture of it on X. That's the second Cybertruck we've seen in New York City. The first one was Saturday night in the West Village, but this one was like a custom Grateful Dead Cybertruck. Pretty cool. George says, have we ever walked by Taylor Swift's apartment in Tribeca? I don't think so. I think we've walked past their old spot in the Village, but in Tribeca, no. I didn't even know she was living in Tribeca now. Trade Brigade says Bruins 3-1 in the first against the Panthers. What's going on with the Rangers? I think the Rangers are still in it too, right? So it's a possibility that we will have both the Rangers and the Knicks in the playoffs, or you know, making it further through. Jeff, no, he wasn't driving it. But it was cool. It was parked right outside 432 Park. So for if we have any Deadheads or Grateful Dead fans in the chat, probably get a kick out of that. Dave says, where is Hawaii? So she's on some really, really big work assignment. I think there was like a reorganization at her bank. And so she's essentially taken on the job of like 3 or 4 people right now. So God bless her for that. Someone's like, I've been to a few Fish concerts. Now, I haven't been to any Fish concerts, but apparently the Fish concerts at Madison Square Garden are unreal. I've seen when the Fish concerts get out, and it's crazy. The fan base that band has is really quite impressive. They're so dedicated, it's unbelievable. Maybe there's some Fish fans in the chat. But if you are, I would say make a trip to New York City to see Fish perform at MSG. Because from some of the video that I've seen on Twitter or on X, it's crazy. There's like, I don't know how to explain it. There's like whales swimming around. There's holograms. It's crazy, crazy stuff. Oops, big traffic jam. Let's get out of the way. Brad says Fish is basically the Dead. They have similar followers as the Dead. Copy that. It's gonna be like a, is it like a younger crowd, a younger band, I guess? Esmeralda is, am I a Grateful Dead fan? I don't really listen to the music too much. I have a lot of buddies who are massive Grateful Dead fans. One of my good buddies, Mike Webster, who used to be a portfolio manager for William O'Neill. He's a huge Deadhead. Now, speaking of music, you know what was, there was this kid, somebody sent me a video, or tagged me in it on X. Ah, man, that's really unfortunate, I'm forgetting his name. But he played a crazy rendition of the national anthem the other night. What was his name? Billy Strings. Anybody familiar with Billy Strings? If you're not, if you go on, you know, YouTube, whatever, listen to the most recent performance of the national anthem. I think it was at a hockey game by this guy, Billy Strings. So good. And I don't usually kind of like that style music, but it was really good. It's a cool performance. I think the clock is ringing. Oh, Trade Brigade, nice. You've been to a few of his shows? Yeah, I mean, he seems like a really talented guy on the guitar, especially. Chris, Tom, do you know about the NSA building with no windows? Yeah, I don't know like too much about it. I know where it is. It's, I think, just on the southernmost border of Tribeca. It's on your way to Lower Manhattan, but isn't it nicknamed like the AT&T building or something like that? It's a kind of a creepy looking building. Apparently that is where most of the spying happens, but in any event. All right, everybody, getting closer to Madison Square Garden. This is 34th Street, Herald Square. Great shot of the Empire State Building here. Hey, Tammy says hey from Tampa Bay. What's going on? Oh, Old Wise House is it's owned by AT&T. Got it. We'll take a shortcut. We'll just go directly to Madison Square Garden because the game's probably just getting out. We'll probably be there right as the game is ending. But for those of you who are just joining, we kind of talked about the very encouraging day on Wall Street. S&P 500 back above the 50-day moving average. A lot of the sectors were participating today. The XLF financials participated, but most importantly, we had a lot of participation from Semiconductors, which is really what's been the powerhouse of this market. So very encouraging action. We'll see if we can get another follow-through day tomorrow. 5 bags of popcorn since it's on Thomas Street. That should be pretty easy for me to remember from now on, right? Hey, Ibrahim Azam. What's up, Ibrahim? Trust you're well. I'm sure you're pretty busy, right? This time of year? Finals and such. I remember those days, stressing about finals. Well, I don't see any Knicks jerseys, so maybe it's not out just yet. I feel like they should have the score projected on one of these billboards. Hello, Mate 2008. Thanks for joining us. Janusik Stick. This has been a while. Thanks for joining again. Appreciate it. Apologize if I butchered your screen name. Oh, RPT says huge deadhead for the past 35 years, Tom. Great Madison Square Garden show years back. 65 says Deadhead in Cleveland here. Also, Billy Strings is the wizard on the guitar. All right, so we do have some Deadheads in the chat. That's good. Hey, you got to check out the custom Grateful Dead Tesla Cybertruck that I saw today. I'm sure you'll get a kick out of that. All right, it's a possibility we may start to buffer, but we'll take the risk to see what's going on with the New York Knicks. A.G. Jordan III. This is the Knicks game is crazy. What's the score? What's going on? We're probably going to run into everybody coming out. You can see all the pedicab people. Mario says might have a Knicks W. Very nice. Kate says I was a Deadhead in 1979. Cool. Awesome stuff. Yep. We got 9 seconds. We'll make it. Hopefully the internet will hold up so we can see all of the Knicks fans coming out. This is probably going to be pretty crazy. We're probably going to see a ton of people coming out. Maybe angry or happy, depending on if they win or not. We'll go right to the main entrance. This is the brand new Pen 2 project by Vornado. Speaking of Vornado, I think they reported earnings yesterday or today. I forget. I didn't have time to look. This is the brand new entrance to Penn Station. Long Island Railroad, New Jersey Transit, and Amtrak. You get the 1, 2, 3 AC and E trains as well. Oh, nice. Patricia Johnson. This is day one. Cool. Well, looks like we're going to be at the right place at the right time, I'd assume. This is the brand new entrance to Madison Square Garden for those of you who haven't seen it before. Bobo Romero says, wow, is there a Madison Square Garden down there? So it's not down there, it's just right through here into the back. I'll show you. I won't go all the way down because they're probably going to block it off for people walking to there. But I think they did a really good job. So you'll see what I mean in a minute. So this is really the new grand entrance, right? So you walk through this corridor all the way to the back, and that's the entrance to the garden. But this is pretty much the brand new platform, if you will. It's all open, you know, it's not all closed off. Doesn't that security guard look like a little bit of an older version of Mr. Beast? This guy? This guy right here looks like just a tad bit older. Hold on, I think we crashed.